Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with another project for Birch Press Designs. And of course, yes, that's a design team project. So for today, we are going to focus on the floral star layering set, and make sure you stay till the end because there's actually a giveaway that's going to be associated with this posting. This is actually part of their recent release, and for those of you that are fans of the Birch Press Designs, they usually do have a giveaway associated for one of these layers, and it will be this one here because there are so many things that you can do with the top layer when it comes to their layering system. All right. So when it comes to this, we are going to work with all three layers for this die set. I'm also going to pull in this die. It's a very, it's got a real dainty feel to it, even though it's got that shadow in the back. Yes, that dot on top of the J is a little floater. So, oh yeah, really tiny. Where do you see that? And I actually already have these layered. So I did do some of the work offline here to try to keep the video down in time. But yes, it will be long. It will be gabby if we don't like long and gabby. Sorry, it is. So I'm also going to be pulling in some papers. So I'm going to be using some papers, 6x6 papers from the memory box. This is called Springtime Bouquet. There's some really pretty soft prints in here, from tone-on tones to plaids to florals to stripes. So lots of choices in this paper pad. And I'm also going to pull in some papers from this 6x6. Now this is shimmering cardstock. And these are in pastel glitter, which is really pretty. So you've got all kinds of beautiful colors when it comes to this, from pink to peach to yellows to greens to blues and so forth. It's a nice heavy weight and it die cuts really, really well. Now there is also a darker, a nice bright jewel tone set as well, and you can just see the beautiful colors that are in that pad also. So let's get started. Now, of course, I've done all of my die cutting offline, and I've also cut down my panels. What I need to do, though, is I need to pull in my card bases because I forgot those. So let's get those ready. And I'll need my scoreboard for that, just so that I can get these set up and then get those set aside. So I always, I have stacks of this paper already cut. And what I like to do is cut it 4 1/4 by 11. And then I will score it at 5 1/2. I do lean towards, or the majority of my card bases are a standard A2 size card base, which is of course 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And it's 9 out of 10 a top folding type card base. It's just something I gravitated to. I don't know why. So here are my card bases. So I have those set up. Here you can see these are going to be my sentiment, or my sentiments for each of my cards. We're actually going to make 3. You know, when I do all my die cutting offline and get all that, I can actually sit down and get more cards made for my stash. I do like to have cards that are very general, you know, just a note, believe, thinking of you, hello. I do like note cards. Doesn't mean I don't like to do birthdays or anything else, but just putting a sentiment of just a note, you can also use that as a birthday card as well, in case you need a crunch. So you can see I've used that glitter paper, the glitter cardstock, for the top part of the sentiment, just to give it some shimmer and some sparkle. So we're going to set those aside, have those sitting off. And then of course we have each of our layers, And these are the color schemes that I'm going with. So I've got sets of greens, I've got some rose and wine color here, and then I went into some purples and yellows for my layers. So we'll be gluing all of those together as well. And then I've also cut, excuse me, some vellum. And this is cut to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. I do love the look of vellum. I think vellum is wonderful. It kind of helps to push items to the back, but still being able to see them. So I've got those 3 panels all ready and set. And then I've already also cut my pattern paper. So these are the 3 patterns that I've chose. They seem very busy, but they're soft. And just by putting the vellum on them, now these are cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So they're going to cover the entire front of my card base. But while they look busy, just by taking a piece of vellum, I've created a frame. So the pattern itself is kind of pushed back, but we can still see it on the outside. And it's going to be a nice spot for our focal points to sit. So I'm going to set the pattern paper aside as well. And what I'm going to focus on first is just getting my layers glued together. Now, again, I am always one that I use my fine tip art glitter glue when it comes to this. You can see I have a fine tip, but you know, someone had asked me, totally forgot, you know, we got these, or I got this glue sponge in one of the Simon Says kit that came out. And of course, you know, with everything that's out there, you know, we get these things and we put them away, we forget where they are, and yes, that's what I did. So, with somebody making a mention of that, haven't seen it in a while, I'm going to pull that back out. I think it would be a truly easy way to glue our pieces together. Now, I don't recommend, you know, you put your hands down onto it, but just by using, you know, your tweezers or something of that nature, it looks like we can just get that pushed down. I'm going to look at the other side just to make sure the pieces are getting some glue, because it doesn't have to be full coverage. And then I'm just going to put this in place. Now, I will admit, wow, did that save a lot of time? Yeah, you know, it's funny with the things that we do. And in no time, I have my layers put together. I'm going to do the same thing for my top layer. I'm going to just push that down. Again, I'm just going to use my tweezers to push that down in there. And then I will lift it up. Make sure I get that pressed down. I'm going to lift it up again. Push that down in there again. And I'm just going to keep on rotating until I feel I've covered the whole area. Now, I do suggest with our glue sponge, store it upside down, because then this way the glue will remain to the top of the sponge, and I know they recommend that as well. So I actually had to do that. I'm going to press that down. And I think I have some great adhesion going on there, and in no time I have put the 3 layers together. So that is wonderful. So now I'm just going to continue through the next of them. Now it does seem that it has, you know, settled itself again, but let's see what happens as I keep, you know, pushing this down. To make sure all the points are covered. And again, I do worry about the outer edges when I'm gluing these, because I do want to make sure that I've got a good solid coating. On some colors you will be able to see it, and on other colors you absolutely will not. But I think I've got good coverage there. So again, I'm going to set that down. You do have time to move this. Not as much, I think, though, if you use, you know, like the containers, like the art glitter glues, or maybe those little Gina K or Lawn Fawn tubes. I think you have to move just a little quicker than that. I wonder what happens if I push this down. Okay, lots of glue going on there. Now I have it all over my tweezers, which, yay me. I just need a baby wipe. Hold on. So what? Okay, so the stupid reason why I did that. You're all probably like, why did she just do that? I wanted to see if I'm putting pressure on my die cuts, excuse me, if it's going to get up onto the die cut, you know, because I can see from the time that I've already put this there, the glue is settling back down into the sponge. So that's what my, you know, goal was there. But I will say this is a lot faster. So you know who you are, who mentioned it. So I say thank you to one of my followers. You know, you guys keep me honest. But there's just so much in this industry that we have with paper crafting. And there are just some tools that are better for us to use. They do make things easier. But you know what? We can forget about those things, you know, as well. So, you know, again, use what you got. Don't, you know, not saying you got to go out and have a glue sponge. But I am finding that it does put these together quicker. And I can almost guarantee you I'll forget. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But no, that's, so yeah, this is something that I've pulled in to use again. So I hope everyone is doing well, no matter where you are during the situation that we're all in. I hope you all are staying safe. I hope your families are safe. Mine is, my husband is currently working from home. His company has enacted that. For my job, unfortunately, and I shouldn't say that, it's not unfortunately, I will, with the career that I'm in and the company that I work for, I will continue working through that, and working through this process. I hope everyone's remaining calm. You know, this is very different. You know, everyone, by all means, I want everyone to feel what they feel, but do something that will allow you to relax. You know, I see a lot of people on social media in the paper crafting world. I don't use social media for anything else. I'll be extremely honest with you. I am not a social media butterfly. I find it extremely annoying. I like to use my social media for business purposes and communicating with my followers, talking about happy things, happy, than anything else. I will not go into political issues or anything like that. And wow, look at that. In no time, I've got my 3 focal points. Now, with these, you want to make sure that you put your lid back on. Make sure you hear it snap all around, because then, and you want to make sure that you get the air out of it as well. So that will keep your glue sponge in long health, if that makes sense. And then store it like this, because now the glue will continue to go to the front. So, okay, back to this. So again, I do hope everyone is safe. Keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe. We will get through this. By all means, we definitely will get through it. So stay positive and keep, now's the time. We can be creative. I wish I had more time. Just saying. But make sure, you keep your mind occupied on, the good stuff, and make sure you focus in on these times that you have to do this. It'll help relieve some stress if you are experiencing that. I am going to continue to use, or going to go back to use my art glitter glue applicator here to get my focal points onto my vellum. So that's the one thing that I do like about this, that my vellum will have an area to adhere to that won't be seen. So, yep, shifted that. It's okay though. So now we have that there. And I'm just going to keep on pushing that down just to make sure. And then I'm going to put my just a note, down here. I want that to actually be coming into that piece. So I'll be able to use my glue for that as well. So I'm going to put this here. And I'm just going to try to make it as straight as possible. And I'll press that down. So to adhere this onto my pattern paper, what I'm going to do, and what the effect that I do like as well, a lot of us will put our glue on the outside and have it stick down. What I do like is the fact that I can use the piece so that we can't see the glue, so that I can adhere my whole piece down using the vellum and the path of the image itself. Now, what that also allows for this to do is the vellum over time will curl, which I think is really cool. So it just gives it another effect, another focal point for it to give a little bit of texture and dimension. And you can see now that is put on there. So these corners will actually lift a little bit, so you have more texture. It's not just this piece here that's on the front. So I'm going to go ahead, excuse me, and do the same thing again. And I'm using my grid for my placement, just so that I know that my pieces are centered. And then I can also use the glue lines on the vellum so that I know where I can put my glue. I'm just going to put some dots, and then I'll make sure that there's some dots here. And then again, I'm just going to center this. Make sure this top and bottom are lined up, since this is cut 4 inches. Going across, I know my halfway point is at 2. And you can see I used the darkest of the shades, and I used the lightest, which in this case is my glitter paper. So So again, I want that A to come up, and I'm just going to turn that a little bit to make it a little bit straight. And then I'll press down. Because of the glue, that's what's going to make the vellum come up, if that makes sense. You know what? I think I'm going to like that one on that one. So again, I'm going to put my glue in the same spots so that I know I'll have less chance of it seeing or seeping through the holes. Again, I don't have to go too crazy. It'll all connect. Oops. And I forgot down here. I'm going to turn this over, and I'll put that on my piece. Now, you could place something heavy on that. I always forget that part. I always kind of like wing it and think, oh, this is going to hold. If my acrylic blocks are out, then I'm good. If they're not, we just wing it. So again, I'm just putting those dots at the point. Putting dots here. And now I can connect the lines. And then dots. And same thing. So during this challenge time, that we have, what have you been doing? Have you been crafting more? Have you been able to spend time with your family? I'm seeing a lot of that, and it makes me smile. I'm seeing more families going for a walk together, which I think is great. I'm seeing children outside playing. Cautiously, cautiously. So that is nice to see. Usually kids are inside with the video games, which is fine, to each his own. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we should all be getting fresh air. As I said, I do work in an industry. And my position is connected to an industry where I will work, or we will continue to work. We're, I guess, considered essential. And I have workforces that I need to make sure are safe. But I know we will get through this. Okay, so I'm going to take each of these panels, and I'm going to set them down onto my standard A2 size card bases. I'm going to make sure they're glued down. You can see the paper pad that I chose, and the pattern paper is double-sided, which of course gives you many choices, which is great. I do love this layering die. I think there are so many more possibilities when it comes to this die. So many things that you can do with it when you place it onto your card fronts or inside, however you design your cards. And I'm going to put the last one in. This is another reason why I like liquid glue. I can put it on the back of my whole card front and then quick, tap it down to even it out. And there we go. A way to add, vellum, to use your pattern paper. Maybe you have some in your stash, that because we love to hoard our paper, by all means. But the vellum is a way that it can push it back, but still be able to see it. You can see the corners of my vellum. They're starting to turn up, and that is a look that I like. Again, it just adds a little bit more texture and dimension, gives it a little bit more interest, as a lot of people would say. So you get those differences in it, but then you still have this frame from your pattern paper. You could do the same thing with solid cardstock as well, putting vellum onto solid cardstock. That too will also push back that color. So if I just take this purple, which is really deep, and if I put it in here, you can see the two different shades that I'm going to get. So this works very well too with the vellum with your solid cardstock. So again, just another way to look at what's already in your stash. I do hope that you did enjoy this project using the Flora Layering Die Set. And as I said, all of the information for the giveaway will be listed down below into my video description with what you have to do and what the rules are. So please make sure you read that. And of course, they will be on my blog as well. But make sure you also go to the Birch Press Design blog. That's your key. You want to make sure that you go there. And of course, the instructions will be there as well. Please make sure, though, that you do check out the Birch Press Design blog anyway, because we have more designers and more inspiration when it comes to the products that I know you will enjoy. As always, the products that I used will be listed down below as well in the video description. And if you have any questions or comments, please make sure you reach out and I will make sure I get back to you to provide the answer or just to chit chat. Not a problem. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe, so make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure you ring the bell because then you'll know when any of my videos are live and ready for you to watch, just in case you have nothing else to do. If you've already subscribed and have been here, whether it's yesterday or even since the beginning, I say thank you to each and every one of you, always. I am grateful for anyone who will stop by and take the time to watch the videos and see what we're creating and how we use the products. Hope I give you a few tips and tricks. Please enjoy your day, stay safe, but remember what's most important for me each and every day, just for a little bit. Now we can do it some more. Always be creative.